Moving on, U.S. movie star George Clooney, a very different kind of figure, touring the United Nations right now in his new real-life role as a UN messenger of peace. Clooney has been a tireless advocate for an end to the conflict that's killed hundreds of thousands in Darfur, Sudan. Our senior UN correspondent, Richard Roth, joins us now with more on what's up. Richard, what kind of reception is he getting?
Well, what would you expect? There were dozens of screaming women in the lobby of the United Nations. Reception from member countries of the UN, not as warm, but Clooney arrived, as you see, in the lobby of the UN building. It's the entrance normally used for presidents and prime ministers when they're going up to meet the Secretary General. Ban Ki-moon is in Africa right now, but he met with other UN officials and was given his official designation as a United Nations messenger of peace. He's going to be carrying out the goals and ideals of this organization. Third trip in recent memory here to the United Nations. Before Clooney addressed members of the UN Security Council in a session, he was to talk to members of countries who send troops to the Sudan region and elsewhere, the UN troop contributing countries. But Russia was very upset at any type of Clooney briefing. They think it's a bit of a show, and they don't like this. They were not happy when he appeared at the Security Council before. Clooney is just back, as you see, from a trip to Congo, Sudan, with UN peacekeeping officials. Here at the UN today in a press conference, he delivered some rather blistering comments to countries of the United Nations if they're not willing to support the UN, which desperately needs helicopters and a firmer approach with the Sudanese leadership.
It's important to note that you have a peacekeeping force already there. Most of them were formerly the African Union troops, some 9,000. Most of them haven't been paid since September. They're waiting for their pay. They're waiting for their 17,000 extra troops. They're waiting for equipment. There are some groups that are protecting 250 square kilometers of desert with no helicopters, no radios that work. These are your troops now. These men and women risking their lives for peace, your responsibility. So either give them the basic tools for protecting the population and themselves, or have the decency to just bring them all home. Because you can't do it halfway. Bring them home and shut off your TV and your radio and your phones and the internet and go back into the offices and wait until it's all over.
Clooney added that the whole world is watching right now as he's putting on alert the UN countries, all 192 of them, and the Sudanese government. But, Jonathan, he also described the Sudanese situation now as very complicated. As you know, rebel groups. He says there's a big vacuum there, and it's not easy to point fingers at one particular target. Jonathan.
Richard, we all know about some celebrities who drift in and out of causes and charities and international campaigns. Is George Clooney the real deal?
I think he is. He's backing it up. We've seen them come and go here. Many of them really still stay faithful to the UN. But Clooney is taking on maybe one of the tougher targets in the Sudanese situation. And he's made several trips. He passed up the Screen Actors Guild Awards where he was nominated last weekend. He's on the case, but he may have to pull his punches a little bit as a messenger of peace and not be able to speak so bluntly. But he has gone to China, made personal visits. So if I had to give him a movie diplomat rating, I'd say 3 out of 4.
Okay. Richard Roth at the UN. Thanks very much.
Nice to know. 3-star man there, according to our Richard Roth.